everyone, and welcome to Renter Obsessed Live, a Knock podcast. I am your host, Sydney Weber, and before we hit the record button, I told everyone in the group that this person that's on the show today was actually my very first friend at my very first conference. She came up to me when I was scared and alone at AIM and befriended me. So it feels really great to have her on the show here. Christina Singleton, welcome to Renter Obsessed.
Thank you so much. And now I'm a little bit scared, but not alone. So thanks for having me.
Not alone. In fact, actually, this podcast has been a lot of our guests' first podcast experience. So it's a good way to break into it.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
And yours will be extremely popular because everybody loves a good accent.
It does really help me in this industry, I'm not gonna lie. Okay.
Amazing. Well, Christina is a co-founder of an excellent company who I have used myself called Show My Property TV, which probably makes a lot of sense why this is a topic that is so perfect for you. But before we jump into questions, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about like elevator pitch of what your company does?
So a little bit about me. I'm from London. My name's Christina. I live in Los Angeles now. I've been here for 7.5 years. And I've helped my sister grow the business to what it is today. So we've been in the industry for 12 years. And we started off as a production company creating marketing videos for websites. And over the years, we have evolved, and we also do social media management, photography, and renderings, floor plans, animation. So we see ourselves as the content creators for the entire lifeline of a community. And we love it.
Amazing. Very fitting that you're in Los Angeles.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, so let's get into it, what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about TikTok. It is not a new subject for Renter Obsessed. We've talked about it a lot in the past. It's been sprinkled in here and there. You guys know me, and I've posted a lot about why TikTok is important. I've also posted my own TikToks, which I need to get back into doing more of. We have Courtney on the call, who is Courtney, the trainer on TikTok, and she posts amazing content. But we all know that like any new social platform, it's always like young people get on it first, then the general population, and then businesses start to leverage it because they know that their audience is there. And we also know that in 2021, TikTok was visited more than Google. So I don't care what anyone on this call or listening in podcast universe thinks about it. It doesn't matter. It's happening. It's here to stay, and it's time to get on board. So we've had this conversation a lot about TikTok, but I'd like to work with Christina and talk to her a little bit today about some tactical things, like how do you get started, what to look out for, how does this translate to our industry specifically? So Christina, TikTok has transformed the way people consume content. Obviously, we've been talking, video has been a huge thing forever. We got Reelink on the call here. We've talked to them in the past. Video is super important, but video is transforming because short form video is now what we're used to. So obviously you've been a production company for a lot of years. How has TikTok and the way we consume content transformed the way you look at content creation for your business and for our industry?
So I'm going to just go through a little bit of a journey of video marketing to talk through how we arrived here. And it started, and this is really from the perspective of Show My Property. So we started with not long form, but often 2 or 3 minute videos showcasing apartments for websites. Beautiful branding videos, not a sunbed out of place, not a hair out of place on an actor, not a word out of place on a testimonial from a staff or a resident. Then Instagram and Facebook came along, and everyone got super excited about authentic content. And that still is the case. There is a lot of authentic content out there on Facebook and Instagram, but there's still a lot of really highly branded content that's just, as you said, Sydney, short form. And then TikTok arrived. And it's almost like we've moved past authenticity. And there's lots of things to think about here. So renter expectations, potential resident expectations on TikTok They need to see the property. They need to meet the staff. They potentially need to meet some other residents. We need to get to know the neighborhood, and we need to understand the personality of the brand. So that would be a renter expectation. But now we've got TikTok follower expectation, which is different. On TikTok, we've got, well, what's very important? Personality, number one. Two, we have trending sounds, which is a really good idea to utilize. And the trending sounds can make things very funny, very silly, very playful, and very off-brand. So that would be that would be a follower expectation. And then there's ownership expectation, which is a very, very, very different place. So you've got owner expectation and renter expectation and TikTok expectation. They are miles apart. So what we've been playing around with in this challenge from the last 3 weeks of trialing TikTok at a couple of properties is, how can we create content for these different places and meet everybody and keep everybody happy? And actually, it's not possible. But we are trialing different things. And one of the things we're going to be talking through at the session at AIM is, how can we sell this to ownership and explain why the property manager is twerking in the lobby on TikTok? So it's been fun and games, but it's definitely a balance of personality and humor, showing off the property, playing around with staying on and off brand.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about this in the past. As a marketer, as a person who's been in brand marketing for a lot of years, relinquishing control is scary. And I got my first taste of that when I worked with an influencer at a building in my previous role, where I knew that if I tried to direct her, the content wouldn't resonate with her audience, because I don't know her audience the way she does. There's a reason she's an influencer and not me. And I also talked to some folks at Social Media Summit, and they started to talk about the difference between an influencer and a creator. And these creators that we have to trust them. There's a reason why they're successful. And so I can definitely see, if you try to, and same in marketing, like if you try to please everyone, you'll please no one. You'll end up with vanilla content. So I think the people who win early on here are going to be the people that take risks and are willing to relinquish a little control, for sure. Speaking of which, I can think of off the top of my head, like one brand who has been huge on TikTok, and that's Duolingo, that they have their big mascot. And I'm curious, Christina, obviously in the multifamily industry, there's been adoption, but not like viral adoption that I know of yet, which is challenging for our industry in general. But larger known consumer brands or any type of brands, have you seen specific ones be really successful on TikTok? I'd love to hear some examples.
I love this question because I get to tell you a story. And the brand I'm going to talk about and focus on is obviously outside of multifamily, and it's a company, it's an airline called Ryanair. And Ryanair are the English equivalent to Spirit Airlines. So I have been traveling with Ryanair for years because it can cost 30 quid, that's like $45 to fly from London to Spain. Okay, you find yourself, you've paid that money, you're sat on the plane, you are miserable, the air conditioning doesn't work, the staff are being rude to you, the table's broken, you get locked in the toilet, you're moaning at them for not giving you a glass of water, and you are sitting there vowing to yourself, I will never ever do this to myself ever again. And then 3 weeks later, you're sat on another Ryanair flight because it was 45 quid and you couldn't help yourself. So Ryanair, and please follow this brand. They speak directly to that. Okay, they speak directly to their stigma. Not what they've done is, firstly, they consistently do this through all videos. All that moaning that you just heard come out of my mouth, they literally took that as a soundbite from somebody and layered it over every single video or multiple videos. So they weren't even mocking themselves, they were mocking their own consumers. And watching these videos goes, you know what, I actually like Ryanair now, and I used to hate them because they're able to look at themselves like that. And I also really appreciate Duolingo's content as well. And I saw a video which inspired some thinking. So it was a video of a white American man who is a Japanese speaker. And he is giving a review on why Duolingo's competitor is better at teaching Japanese than Duolingo. Okay, and Duolingo are releasing that. So it got me thinking, do we have the guts to do this in multifamily? Okay, let's just set a scene. Imagine property A, class A property, all of the toilets have broken in everyone's apartment. Everyone is furious. Everyone is throwing complaints at the property manager. Imagine if the property manager did a TikTok about their complaints and mocked them and the property's mistake in a TikTok. Now, I'm not suggesting that we do this, but I do dare somebody out there to give it a try and see what the response is like, just to see if we can take a step forward as an industry in that way.
At the end of the day, if there's something unsavory about your business or about your product or some common feedback that your customer's giving you, you can do one of two things. You can, or three, you can divert. You can try to focus on something good. You can lie straight out, like, oh, that's not a problem. Like, try to like will good customer service or will functional toilets into existence. Or you could be like, you know what, this sucks, and just be a human with with your audience, with those people. And I personally, as a consumer, like you with the Ryanair thing, I would eat that up because we're not used to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And also, like, laughter cures everything. So if you're making people laugh at their most angry, are you actually just trickling positive energy throughout your resident community and lifting spirits in a very different way than usual?
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
free.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I love that. So, one of the things about TikTok, obviously, you've got to be creative. You've got to have a very strong perspective and brand voice, like any content that you produce. Like, why should people listen? Why should people listen to this podcast? Like, what is different and what value am I adding? Are you solving a problem? Are you teaching someone? Are you entertaining them? That can be really challenging for a very busy property to execute. A marketing director is not going to be able to execute this for 50 properties. No way. Even if they solely did TikTok, there's no way that they could have authentic content because they're not there. They're not part of it. How can a leasing team execute TikTok when the expectations of this social platform is that you have to be consistent?
So, okay, I don't have an exact answer to this. I've never worked on site, so but I am familiar with how busy they are. So our social media team at Show My Property looks after hundreds of buildings across America for Facebook and Instagram. And we ask once a month for the on-site team, just one person, to spend half an hour giving us some information about what's happening next month at the property, so we can create content for Facebook and Instagram from that information. Okay, not even video content, just static content. 50% of our property managers do not respond to us or give us just half an hour of time. So what we have discovered in the last few weeks of launching TikTok is that firstly, you need to come up with ideas, and that can take a couple of hours. Then you need to film, and it's not just one person filming. You're probably going to need a couple of personalities as well to energize those videos. So now we've got editing, we've got 1 to 3 people filming for a good few hours or a whole day or one day a month. I don't know what that looks like exactly. The person who filmed also needs to edit that content. Now, to give some context, one of my team created one of those really great TikToks with loads of different slides of the property, trending sounds, all the different labels. It got really good response. It was 30 seconds long. It took an hour and 45 minutes to edit that. It's a really long time. Now, once you've done the filming and the editing, then you need to start understanding algorithms. And please don't ask me too much about that, because I don't have that much expertise on it, other than you need to create enough content, you need to push it out, and you need to analyze the results on each of those videos to see what your people are responding to, and then create more videos like that. So, one more thing. You should be releasing 3 TikToks a day. So I'm just setting the scene on this. I don't know how an on-site team would manage this. And it's been the hardest thing for us at Show My Property, is to have the time to do this at just 2 properties. So I think the best way to tackle it is to either go like 1 hour a day, film some stuff and throw it out on TikTok, or you could do a few hours a week doing the same thing, or you could do once a month, you could do a whole filming day, and then you could just edit and send out every few days, or whatever you can do. So I don't have an exact answer. There's just a few suggestions that your team can work around.
When I'm hearing you say this stuff, I had a few ideas of how this actually can be done. One, which is a challenging one, we can start rethinking the way we hire leasing agents and the qualifications we look for in leasing agents, and start marketing the role of leasing agent as a sales and creator role. As we start to automate some of the stuff that they don't need to be doing, like following up with 500 leads when there's AI software out there, or posting on Craigslist when they could use tools to do that. And we start to create a career path that segues directly from leasing to marketing, whether it be in property management or not. And we start to attract creators. Or that's a really good use case for what I did with an influencer, not necessarily an influencer, but if there's someone they already know how TikTok works, they understand the algorithm, they understand how to create content that their audience wants, they understand how to edit, and they can do it and scale it up really fast. Move them into your building and give them a discount on their rent so they can do it and the leasing team doesn't have to bother. Katie, did you have a question or something to add?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Christina if she had any thoughts about when you say should be releasing 3 videos a day. Now, is that unique content, or would you count like if they stitched like another TikTok, or do you get like the same kind of response and like engagement through like stitches as you do custom content?
I think that custom content is always going to win over re-releasing things. But at the same time, to overcome this situation of time, we're going to have to, make do in certain ways. The good thing about TikTok is that you can get really successful videos that are 3 seconds long. If you're using a trending sound that's really funny, and it's just your property manager, like, I don't know, doing something silly to the camera, that might get a really great response. So I have mentioned that some videos take 2 hours to edit, but others could be done within 20 seconds. So again, just release and analyze, and either stop or continue. I hope that answers your question.
My unmute. I love what you were saying, Sydney, about the hiring and like who's doing the job, because I have been in your role, Christina, and I know how frustrating it is when you ask the communities to curate content or just to give you some ideas or parameters for things to do. I mean, and that was before video. That was just posting on Facebook, and then that evolved to Instagram. But I will say, though, if there's anyone who I think is probably doing it best, it ties back to what you were saying, Sydney, earlier about who adapts first. And when I worked in student housing, we hired student leasers and student marketers. And you had a team of both. Some of them did both, but usually whatever they had the kind of energy for, they would do. And then it was like, boots on the ground marketing plus social. So not only were they curating content for us to use on, Instagram and Facebook, but then they were also creating the Canva, the pieces that were being delivered. But I'm just surprised that at no point has no one in multifamily decided to take that same student approach, because it was always something where it was added on. It's like, okay, you have to do all of your responsibilities and help out our marketing department, instead of having somebody on site who specifically is like marketing there but can also help with other things. Nicole's saying it. She's like, they can't handle everything. And it would be great to have that like custom expert there. And I think we're seeing what the value could be that maybe we didn't recognize in the past, or that owners and old school managers didn't recognize that, we need this. We need that live person, because during a lease up, we do so great. And then it like drops off, because we're streaming, we've got live video, our stories are live, we can do TikToks. And then once you fill up the building, they're like, okay, we're good. Let somebody else handle it now.
Does anyone else have anything to add or questions for Christina before we keep going? Okay, here's something I want to talk about that I am very passionate about. TikTok is a channel, which obviously, to be really successful in a channel, it's important to create content that works for that channel. Yes. But TikTok right now is really challenging to make a case for, because it's not a proven lead gen channel. But we all know that our audience is on there and how important it is as marketers, but getting that information to the rest of the team, making the case for the time spent to have a full-on employee, to give away a discounted apartment, that's challenging. So how can we leverage the content that we're creating for TikTok in different distribution ways? How I posted on LinkedIn, and it was actually like a ripoff of one of my old posts, but if your audience is not on TikTok, they're watching 2-month-old TikToks on Facebook. So there's very clear path between like TikTok, Reels, Facebook, but where else can this short form video content and this like very raw, almost making fun of yourself, following trends style also work?
Are you talking about taking TikToks and re-releasing, and where else can you re-release them?
Yes.
So firstly, okay, within TikTok, they've just recently added TikTok stories. So any of your previous TikToks can be re-released as stories. So you can also, as you know, download your TikToks and repost them on different places, but you're going to see the TikTok logo within them. I was asking my social media team the other day, could you take a successful TikTok video, download it, and re-release it as an ad on Instagram or Facebook? And I believe his answer, because he handles it, not me, was that yes, you could, but the TikTok logo is going to be there. And he hasn't actually tried this yet. So, I am not a guru at all with TikTok, but Facebook may flag it because it's come from TikTok. So where else could you use it? I mean, you could post, if you're downloading it, you could be embedding TikToks within email marketing or any of your other marketing channels. It's just a video at the end of the day, and you've got the file, so you can do what you want with it.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of, the Reelink product, and they're doing the follow-ups, the video follow-ups. Do you remember like this kitchen that you loved? I mean, if you didn't have a solution like that, you could be embedding TikToks into email follow-ups and creating richer content that way, versus like, hey, are you still looking to move? We got new specials. It could be that, but in a TikTok format.
Totally. And especially with all of that personality from the on-site team, that's so important to put into your TikToks. If you could be sending out those really funny videos that are not related to the property at all, they're just related to the personalities on site, it could be really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Conscience has talked about in previous episodes how leads like come in for their tour, and his leasing teams, who are the creators of the YouTube videos and the tours, have become mini celebrities. I mean, it
Right.
helps that you're in LA and the personalities of people there are probably a little bit different than
I don't know about that.
everyone's like a struggling actor, right?
Mhm.
But I think that there's a lot of opportunity to differentiate yourself, even if you maybe have the exact same amenity set and similar pricing to your neighbor down the street. I already have a relationship with you at scale because you're able to connect with hundreds or thousands of people versus like spending the time and just the phone calls or the one-to-one conversations. So distribution, we've talked about that. And also, I mentioned earlier, it's challenging right now because there isn't a lot of data. And like, obviously you're experimenting with TikTok. I've seen some property management companies experiment with TikTok. We've seen a lot more on the broker side in different cities or real estate agents experimenting with tours. As of right now, and maybe also looking into the future, what should our expectations be? What should our KPIs be that we're measuring, or our objectives for this platform?
So from a starting point, there's two different ways you can look at this. There's paid and there's organic. So you can set up a TikTok business account and not release any TikTok videos and just release TikTok ads. So you're getting out there, you're meeting people where they're at, but you're not having to go through all the rigmarole of, creating TikToks.
Mhm.
So paid. Organic is obviously jumping on the bandwagon, releasing as many TikToks as you can every single day. So if you're starting from zero, my suggestion, if you want to give this a shot, would be release your TikToks. Once you've got some traction, layer in some follower ads. Once that's built up a little, then layer in some lead gen ads if you're after some lead generation, which I'm sure a lot of properties are. And then you can really start to analyze where you're winning, where you're failing. But at the end of the day, really, what are the measurables? You've got video views, which is really important because this is all about brand awareness. You've got lead gen ads, and of course, finding out if you can turn those ads into leases, and website clicks. So if you use a UTM code, you can be tracking who's coming from TikTok and landing on your website. And then that's another great measurable. So you just really need to ask yourself, like, what do you want to get out of this? If it's lead gen, you need to track this. If it's brand awareness, you need to track that.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracking is so important when you're proving out or you're piloting something. So whether you're using Knock or whatever your CRM provides you, get not just those UTM codes to track to your website, but really if you're measuring website clicks, see how far you can track that from view to click to website, like to website visit, click through rate of website to lead to tour to lease. Like understanding that entire journey of how it performs is going to help you advocate for more resources to create content, more budget to create ads. I'm curious, and I didn't send this question to you in advance, but I've never bought or created or run an ad campaign on TikTok. How, and I know that in Facebook and Instagram, they have a pretty good like algorithm. They make sure that your ads get fed to the right people without breaking any fair housing laws anymore. How granular can you get? Have you started buying ads on TikTok yet?
So my team has done some ads. And I can tell you, this is obviously a Chinese-run company and not an American-run company. So the fair housing rules in regards to advertising are very different currently. That's obviously probably going to change. So you are able to target more specifically. We've actually seen really good results so far. We did get a ton of generation from a couple of lead ads. I don't know how they have transferred because we'll probably be releasing that in the AIM presentation. But it's a really, really tricky area to play around with because we don't yes, we want success, but we also don't want to not include people. So and it's a gray area at the moment, because we saw what happened with the fair housing advertising problems from back in the day. So it's likely going to end up the same with TikTok.
So to avoid any of those discriminatory issues or fair housing law mishaps, do you have any recommendations for marketer and property management looking to buy their first ad? Like, how should they be filtering it? Should it just be like over 18 and location?
I believe on Facebook, it's currently, my team does it, so I don't know the details, but it's really broad on Facebook. It's like 18 to 60 within 15 miles or something. I think pretty much that's it. If you were to play around with that on TikTok, should there be any challenges later on, you would hopefully be safe, but don't take this as gospel.
Definitely. We won't hold you to that.
Thank you.
No lawyers on the call either,
Thanks,
I don't
good.
think.
I might need one.
So when having conversations with people about TikTok, a lot of them assume, and I think we've broken this down a little bit. People who aren't there, they assume, oh, this is for dancing, this is young people. I think there's a lot of assumptions around TikTok. I personally have been a user of TikTok for probably about a year now. God, I hope not. And I scroll a lot. And I find myself on different sides of TikTok. Like a lot of the TikToks that I receive are, singing ones, or it's career advice, or like how to ask for a raise. And so people are going that. I've never seen an algorithm as good as TikTok. Pinterest has a good algorithm, but TikTok's algorithm is immaculate. It doesn't serve you what you think you want. It serves you what you don't know that you needed. And I'm curious, from your perspective, how can we rethink without besides capitalizing on trending sounds, or besides trying to do trending dances or whatever, how can we actually use TikTok in different ways to speak directly to our ideal customer profile or writer?
So I think there's two different equations here. So we talked about renter expectation earlier, and I also talked about TikTok follower expectation, and they are different, but really they should be merged together. So in regards to speaking to the property, it's using a property as the set, showing the best bits, layer in some music, intro the staff, intro some residents, neighborhood. You're going to create some really nice TikToks from that. But there's only so many model units you can show off. There's only so many times we can see the lobby. There's only so many times we can see, your staff saying hello and getting to know them in different ways. But that type of content will keep the potential renter, it's going to give them what they need, which is to see the property. It's going to keep ownership happy. Now, if you want to get more playful with this, I mean, honestly, Sydney, I do think that playing around with trending sounds is really key, because coming up with content is half the problem. And if you just pull up loads of different trending sounds, which evolve every few weeks, those trending sounds are going to give you ideas for content. We're going to get to see the people we want to see and get to know in a really different light. So I think it's trending sounds plus on-site staff plus mocking your own brand equals a successful TikTok.
I love that. I'm curious. So we've talked a lot about how a single property can leverage TikTok with their team, or a team like your team helping them with it. And actually, Mike from 30 Lines is on the call, and he was on a show a couple months back about SEO. And then we got into this whole conversation about, in property management, is the property management overarching company brand going to start to take a more visible seat in our marketing? Are we going to continue to focus on our individual assets, or are we going to try to build a flywheel marketing technique with our customers, where we create brand loyalists that always live at only live at a certain Franklin Johnson properties? And I'm curious, with that idea in TikTok, do you see a place, or do you think it would be interesting or add value if a property management company, like a corporate marketer, created content for their portfolio as a whole?
Yes, 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 yes. So Kiana's on here somewhere. So Kiana from Capri worked with Show My Property over the last few years, and we've created them these absolutely hilarious and completely ridiculous corporate videos, unlike any other corporate video we've ever seen. They're dancing, they're wearing costumes, they're really playing around, and it's such an alluring way to showcase a company. If a TikTok campaign was done at the corporate office, and we got to see those faces and those personalities behind that corporate brand, and they could somehow trickle through to all the different property TikTok accounts or wherever, I personally think that would be golden.
Yeah, I think so too. And last week we talked a little bit about this last week, and I talked to Jennifer Sichokis at Social Media Summit, and she said one of the most valuable skills you can have as a recruiter is being a good marketer. I'm curious to see, as the general employment market of the US shifts and people have to get really crafty, how companies will start to leverage TikTok to attract talent and show what their property is really like. We posted a TikTok on, or no, we didn't post a TikTok. One of our recruiters commented on a TikTok of some lady that said, here are 5 companies that have remote jobs available. And our recruiter just said, hey, I work at Knock. We have remote jobs available. 30 comments. How do I apply? Where are your jobs? What is available? Like picking out what your differentiators are, or working with a creator to just say, hey, if I kick you some money, will you add me to your list? That kind of thing. There's a lot of opportunity to, especially if in property management, our talent pool is it's challenging. And for example, maintenance, we're all losing maintenance to construction jobs, right? There are so many skilled labor jobs out there. And there's also a lot of people out there that don't even know that there are careers available to them in property management. So we could get together as an industry and create very compelling campaigns and messaging, getting people out of their, food service jobs or any sort of job that requires similar skill sets to our industry. We can really start to get in front of them and start a demand creation campaign as a group.
We'd all have to be really brave and step forward together as an industry if everyone's mocking themselves equally,
Yes.
then everyone can sort of have safety in numbers.
Yes, absolutely. So you are speaking at AIM at the end of the month. And we were very careful not to give away any of the secrets, but just mostly to talk about what you're working on in the strategy and how you approached it. I know a lot of people on this call are coming to AIM, and I'm sure a lot of people out in podcast land are going to be there as well. What can they expect from your presentation?
Okay, so this might actually surprise some of you, but I am not a TikTok expert, at all. I really am not. I downloaded TikTok 3 weeks ago. Okay, I was a TikTok denier. Now, when it comes to me and social media on a personal note, I spend my life trying not to look at social media. Professionally, I obviously feel very differently about it. So this session is we're all in this together. We're all terrified. None of us really want to do it. But this is how we went from 0 to launching TikTok at 2 properties with 2 very different demographics in very different regions, where our triumphs were, where our failures were, how to do this, how not to do this, how to sell it to the ownership, how to get your team on board. And we'll also be threading in the data from what we're seeing from all the different types of TikToks. And we'll be showing a lot of the TikToks as well that we have released. So I'm super excited about it. Personally, I don't want to look at TikTok, but professionally, I do really think that this is a boat and it is moving fast and we all need to get on it professionally, and don't miss the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Meg.
Yeah, Christina, I don't want you to divulge all of your session secrets before AIM, but I think it's really interesting that you were talking about and Sydney was talking about all these smaller ways that companies can make a difference on TikTok, like Sydney, with the recruiter just in the comments getting responses there. Because I feel like I've heard pushback from leadership, at a few different companies I've been with, that they just want TikTok because, oh, well, we have to go viral. Like, we're only successful if we go viral. And having worked in marketing for a while, that's a unicorn. It's so hard to do. So have your companies that you've been working with seen, good data and good results from, posting links and commenting and engaging rather than just, having one video that blows up?
Yes, I mean, honestly, we haven't had one video that's blown up. We've had one video that had like 8,500 views, which is really good. It was posted a couple of weeks ago. And like I said earlier, there's been a lot of lead gen on the lead gen ads. So we are seeing successes. And the viral thing is obviously great fun and it's an ego kick, but it's not 40,000 people. How many of them are really going to be looking for an apartment in Portland? Not that many, let's face it. So we are seeing successes in all of the different ways that you've mentioned. And the engagement part, I mean, if you're familiar with TikTok, like half the fun is in the comments. So we've had some fun there.
Having management ask your marketing team to produce content that goes viral is my worst nightmare.
Mine too, because we have to create it. And I'm like, huh?
Oh my gosh. What's going on, Ben?
Oh, hey, Sydney. Hey, everybody. I had a question. So I agree, like, TikTok is an area that teams need to be like focusing right now. I'm just curious, like, what do you believe, and I guess this is a question for Christina, Courtney, Sydney, what do you believe the like coolness horizon of TikTok is? It feels like these different platforms, like what the acceleration, they're starting to accelerate from when they're first introduced to when they like start to kind of lose that like coolness and like newness factor. So like, I don't know, in your opinion, like what is what do you think like the lifespan of like TikTok will be, like compared to like what we've seen with like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? Like what is the longevity?
I mean, I am not God and I do not have an answer to that question. But I was considering this myself and I was kind of trying to compare TikTok to Vine, and Vine never took off like TikTok did, and it eventually fell flat on its face. And I listened to a really interesting podcast. I think it was on the Founder app. And it's about TikTok and the rise of TikTok. And it really talks about the founder and like how he brought TikTok to where it is, and some really interesting like business acumen, which I've never even considered the owner of TikTok would do some of the things that he did. And there's a machine behind TikTok, and there's some absolute masterminds in there. And I personally I do not see an end in sight.
I agree. I know I was talking to someone recently and he was like, his phrase was FOMO ASP, fear of missing out on another social platform. And it's hard when we have so many balls in the air and so many responsibilities as marketers or leasing teams to like, where do we actually invest? And I think we've seen the rise and fall, like you said, of a lot of social platforms. Vine came and died. I know a lot of people still use Snapchat, but not to the extent that they use Facebook and Instagram. Like, we're not having conversations about Snapchat. Clubhouse is a good example of like, I think it kind of came and died. So I think at this point, TikTok has proven itself. I mean, a couple of girls who wrote an unofficial musical off of the TV show Bridgerton just won a Grammy this last week. A Broadway scale production was written and produced from Ratatouille on TikTok during COVID. I think that the algorithm is light years ahead of any other algorithm that I've ever seen. And at this point, Facebook is shaking in its boots. And I think that is a very strong indicator that they've transformed their business model based on this platform. Without, they weren't able to just buy it like they bought Instagram. So I think that TikTok is a very safe bet, honestly, for us at this point.
I also do think, though, that it's not for every community. I don't think every property needs to be on TikTok. And I think if you want, if properties want to give it a shot, like commit, go throw everything at it for 6 months. If you are not getting the traction and you're really trying to work that algorithm, you're not getting the response, you're not getting the leads, move on. It's not your app. It's not that properties app.
I mean, focusing on every single social media platform, unless you have a giant social media team, it is impossible to win on all of them. Focusing on one or two and doing them really well, much more effective. Kiana, what's going on? You're muted. We'd love to hear you.
That mute button. So I was thinking about, how TikTok the algorithm gets really specific. And of course, I found myself on, housing TikTok, apartment TikTok. But it was interesting because I found myself on the senior living TikTok at some point. And what they were able to do was to showcase the residents how fun it is to live at that community, how happy it is to be at that community. And I thought that was absolutely wonderful. So if they're able to reach even the senior living and to give some sort of feedback, then I think that it's crossing several generations. And that is something that not all social media is able to acquire.
I agree. I have a question for the entire group. Oh, I'll let Kanchan go first, though. What's
Thank
going
you,
on?
Sydney. I do have a question for Christina. Christina, you did mention your clients recently got TikTok. My question is have you seen results as in views or page following, etc.?
Yes, we have. We've seen, and we've tried some content organically, we've boosted some, we've thrown money at some of it. And there's been, in some cases, great views, in other cases, terrible views. Like I said, we ran this one lead gen ad, we got a ton of leads. They're being followed up at the moment. I don't have the information on that. But it's not, there's another layer to all of this, which I haven't spoken about. And that is the team morale on the day was on the shoot days, on the TikTok shoot days was so high. And we really lifted the spirits of the property managers and the on-site staff. They had such a good day. And you can't put money on that because that trickled through to the other staff members, that trickles through to the residents. So it's not just brand awareness. There's something going on at the property which our property managers are really connecting to with TikTok.
That's a great idea for a resident event, a TikTok creator party.
Oh, such a good idea.
Jeff, you've been quiet. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to just talk to Christina, or to the room, that when I think of the mocking with Ryanair, that what I feel like that's a big step towards is transparency, but also letting go of the huge standards like this thing behind me right now, and all the things that Angie holds us to, rightly holds us to as far as our corporate persona and who we are as a corporate company. Whereas on the site, where all the sales and the stuff Christina's saying, that's a very personal, more in small community between me and my residents and the people I'm teaching. It's not really the same as the branding that we use for the corporate Franklin Johnson Group. It's kind of our personality. But we can't let go of that completely. Our standards have to be in place. But I feel like to do that mocking, I feel like that's a great way to show people, to kind of hey, okay, look, this is just kind of the way it is. This property, and that's very challenging. Tax credit, bad part of town, a lot of things that we're dealing with. but you know, everybody kind of knows it, and you either dance around it and get nowhere, or you just embrace it, sort of, and you know, stuff starts happening, and people go, okay, they kind of lean into what it is. In other words, the rents are really low, and that's why you're here. But you know, here's what goes along with that, and you know, some things you can clearly get away with mocking, and other things you can't. But yeah, I feel like I feel like that would be a great thing for every property to do. But at the same time, I feel like selling it to ownership might be challenging. I say with this, like I said, with this huge thing in my I could have chose a different background screen.
I love it. Does anyone else in this group have any questions for Christina or for the entire group? Or any thoughts about TikTok in general or trepidations? Yeah, Kanchan.
And I just thought of, you know, going off of Jeff and Christina, like making fun, I thought of something, you know, like something really challenging for us is like guest parking, and we don't have that in most of our communities, but we usually have like street parking. So maybe like showing the parking lot as, oh, there's no guest parking, and then on a street cleaning day when the road's like completely empty, you just like, you know, just do a quick TikTok. Oh, but there's plenty of street parking, you know. I don't know, it's just a thought. Making fun.
But then have the street sweeper come by and pan over the sign that says street sweeping day.
Yes.
I love that. Mike.
So you talked about brand earlier. I think one thing to look at with TikTok and what's happening right now is locators are crushing it on TikTok because they can go out to any number of community. Like, one of the worst things about apartment shopping is there are just too many options, and locators can go out and they can find cool units and they can give a tour and really quickly get somebody excited about it. And they can do that over and over and over again and show people lots of options in a really short period of time. So one of the things that, you know, to what Jeff was just saying, like, I think when we think about brand, and a lot of cases, it's more like, hey, what's the personality of our company going to be? Instead, just look at how many options can we offer in a specific regional area. Do we have 10 properties in Denver where we can have one person go out and hit up a bunch of different apartment walkthroughs and be able to offer, and then just hit up the hashtag we rent DC, or we rent Denver, or like Denver apartments. Just find that activity and just approach it from a different way, because that's where locators are seeing all the success right now. Is they post the apartments, they give a great video tour, and then they're, you know, Sydney, what you were saying before, they are quick in the comments, they're quick in the DMs, they're fast to respond in platform, and they can get people into those apartments really quickly. When occupancy right now is at 96, 97% across the country, people are lining up to take tours of apartments. It's a really easy way, if we can find that way, you know, to find that one person who is a good personality. The locators right now are an ideal model to look at for multifamily.
I agree. I think so. It reminded me of like top 5, you know, listicle experience, or like honing it down. Like, these are the best restaurants in Austin or whatever, and taking away that option overwhelm as a consumer. You know, you need this thing. There are hundreds of options, but you came across this quick video. They're also a really great way to show off amenities or features. Like, here are 5 things in my apartment that just make sense. You know, go off of those trends that are really relevant to our industry. I love that. Does anyone else have anything to add? Okay, I have a question for you. I have a question for those of you on this call who are on TikTok. How many, raise your hand if you actually are on TikTok? Okay, that's a pretty good amount. Here's my question. What is one side of TikTok that you are on that you should not be on and you don't know why you're on it? I'll start first. I am on bad dating TikTok. I have been married for 6 years, happily, but I am on bad dating TikTok. I find those stories, I had no idea I wanted to know about it. I find them hilarious. Whoever raised your hand, go next.
Sure, I'll go first. I'm on New York TikTok. I live in Seattle, but I just end up watching all these videos of people going on these weird adventures in New York and talking about living in their apartments. So yeah, I guess I'm on New York TikTok now for the long term.
I'm on a TikTok about national parks and seeing all the national parks across America, and there's some beautiful videos out there, and it's like if I'm on TikTok, I'm still trying to like meditate and escape. So
Kiana? Also muted again. That's
Sorry, I'm on this, it's over Europe, it's like France, and they're doing nothing but skydiving, daredevil type of activities, and then jumping into waters and jumping off cliffs. I've never done any of those things, but it's beautiful.
I love that. Lila?
I'm on this like newborn TikTok, and I have 2 teenagers, and ironically, newborn stage was the one stage I really didn't love.
Amazing. Anybody else have any funny ones, Katie?
Elementary school teacher TikTok.
You're on elementary school teacher TikTok?
Yep, I guess maybe it's because I do training and it does kind of give you some tips every now and then, but how to decorate the classroom, I get that one a lot.
That's amazing. Lindsay from Reeling said she's on teacher TikTok too. See, it knows us better than we know ourselves. I don't know. Well, before we close out, I would love to, do you have one more thing to add, Lila? Oh no, okay, before we close out, Christina, do you have any final parting words for us for someone that still might be on the fence?
I would say pick a property, commit for 4 months, throw some money at it, see how it goes. If it goes well, you know it's a win. If it doesn't, move on and stay on your other apps.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Did you have one more question to close us out, Brianna?
Yeah, so it's actually for Christina. So we actually have a lease up that we're working on right now. And do you think it's more beneficial for stabilized properties to, like you said, pick one property? I was thinking of our lease up, but would you say it's more beneficial to use a stabilized property or just try this out in a lease up?
I would say whichever team has the most time to commit to this. If you're looking for results at any property, whoever's got the space to do it.
I think that's great advice. Thank you so much for being here, Christina Singleton from Show My Property. We'll put a link to her website in the show notes. And where else can they find you, Christina?
Not on TikTok. Find me on, actually just email me. I'm just old school, or call me.
Perfect. Well, we'll put your personal cell phone number in the show notes.
Right.
Just kidding. Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. It looks like Courtney, you found her on LinkedIn. That's a good place for all us professional folks to hang out. If you enjoyed this show, tell a friend. We are growing. I think we beat last week's record of live attendees, and our show has had more downloads in the last week than it did in the previous month. So we are finally gaining some traction. It's not finally, it's been amazing. And what's really, really special is there are a few people on this call, Kiana, Kanchan, that were at the very first episode on November 22nd. And here we are on April 7th. And Katie too, you were there too. You were the very first voice on the very first episode. And the fact that you're still here makes me so happy. So please, next time you join, bring a friend. And if you enjoyed the show, reviews mean the world to me. You guys are all marketers. You know how big online reviews how impactful they are on your business. So if you can head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to Renter Obsessed and drop a review, it doesn't have to be a good one. It just has to be an honest one. And we will see you next Thursday. Bye.